This is camera setup 1. The f-stop is set to 4.0 and there is no ND filter. I think this is good exposure. This is camera setup 1. The f-stop is set to 5.6 and the ND filter is not on. This clearly is darker because you cannot see the details of the roof nor the grass anymore. The only things you can really see are the lights. This is camera setup 1. The f-stop is set to 2.8. The ND filter is not set on. This seems too bright because the lights are almost shining too much. With the shots before, you could see the clock tower, but now it's all mostly a blur. This is camera setup 2. The f-stop is 7.6. The ND filter is 0. I think this is good exposure. This is camera setup 2. The f-stop is set to 8.0 and the ND filter is set to 0. I think this is underexposed because the shot of toning is darker than the shot before. This is camera setup 2. The f-stop is set to 6.8. The ND filter is set to 0. I think this is overexposed because his skin is more light than the base shot and the background looks way too white and uncolored. This is camera setup 3. The f-stop is set to 5.3. The ND filter is set to 0. I think this is good exposure. This is camera setup 3. The f-stop is set to 6.0. The ND filter is set to 0. I think this is underexposed because you can tell that you can't see the details on the left side of his face as much as you could before.
I need to wash my hands.
This is camera setup 3. The f-stop filter is set to 4.8. The ND filter is set to 0. I think this is overexposed because you can see the shining on the right side of his neck, which makes it so that you can't see as much detail as you could before. This is camera setup 4. Its at f-stop is set to open. There is no ND filter. I think this is good exposure for a nighttime shot. This is camera setup 4. The f-stop is set to 4.0. The ND filter is not on. You can tell this shot is darker since you can see less of the back of the car and the parts that you can still see aren't as bright. This is camera setup 4. I could not get the f-stop to go any higher than open, so this is the same shot. The ND filter is also not on.